Christian whore.
Don't do this.
Clip! You fool!
You have no idea what she's done to me. You have no...
It's much better.
Today we're getting down to the bottom of why Below Deck gives us the munchies. We're thanking the women of Salt Lake City for bringing Greek tragedy back to the forefront of conversation. And we're booing Erika Jayne for bringing her new dude to the forefront of our minds. Hey guys, what's up? I am the bumped uglies that Craig and Austin just need to partake in.
Are you saying they need to like bang it out?
Yeah. Andy agrees. Rodrigo agrees.
Oh, valid. I am a fly fishing trip that is 3 hours away round trip when you have a flight that leaves in 5.
Oh man, that sounds brutal. Who would ever plan such a thing?
Who would ever book this?
All right, guys, let's get into it. So let's talk Below Deck chefs. We've been really lucky to have some good chefs on our screens the last few seasons. Chef Josh with the latest Below Deck Med. Chef Ben is coming up on Down Under. And, you know, Below Deck's become strictly a dinner show for us because we found even if we had just eaten, we crave and we hunger while we watch it, and it causes us to snack. And this becomes especially bad when the chefs are spectacular. We also have created the habit of eating dinner now at our dining room instead of the TV because a few years back we made that decision to switch to a better atmosphere after we started demolishing like large pizzas and wings and fries all in one 44-minute sitting. So I really wanted to understand, number one, why we crave food when we watch TV, when we watch those shows like Below Deck, even if we just eat in, and also why we tend to consume even more when we watch TV. Like, why did we eat a whole pizza?
I mean, I still do, but...
No, you eat a small now.
Yeah, that's still a whole pizza. It's just, you know, depends on what size pizza. It's a large range.
Well, hopefully this research can help you. Not eat the full.
Sometimes when pizza used to be around here, sometimes I would eat many whole pizzas if they were personal fan. Not many, but like 2.
Touche. I mean, anyway, you know, that's a sin not to eat both of them in one sitting.
Yeah, you know.
So, all right. What I wanted to know was why we crave and hunger while we watch TV. And I saw this referred to as the gastronomical gaze in one article. So I'm just going to use that phrase. So, you know, you and I know a great weekend night consists of us watching like a critically acclaimed movie on the couch with a bowl of popcorn and a tall glass of something nice. And a good weekday lately, we started getting into Twin Peaks. Mm-hmm. And we enjoy, you know, a warm decaf coffee and a donut in hand while we watch that.
This is not painting like a great picture of...
Yeah, we're monsters. So
I just hope our insurance doesn't hear about this.
I mean, we're only doing it every day.
Oh, you don't know this.
Now, popcorn and movies.
This is all satire.
It is. It's alleged.
Yeah, alleged.
So popcorn and movies, I feel like those two are kind of cognitively linked in our minds. You know, you go to the movie theater, you have popcorn. That makes sense. That's why we usually do that on a weekend night when we watch a movie. But why does this imagery in Twin Peaks essentially control our actions to the point where we actually are now including donuts in our grocery runs?
No, we stopped. Hold on. We stopped. We stopped ourselves.
Well, it's because you went to Kimberton Whole Foods and they didn't have Entenmann donuts there the last time.
I said we were going to stop doing it. I didn't get any on my last grocery run.
Yes, but we're aware now. We're aware.
Okay.
So we'll see if that continues. But we also are taking a break from Twin Peaks, right? We said we would take
I thought we were just doing like a day off. Like we were just like, oh, not every day, you know?
Because we were eating donuts. And
no, we got past the big reveal in season 2. Like we just hit that. We're kind of like...
Episode 10, I think.
Yeah, we're kind of sitting around like, okay, guys, what could possibly be left?
It felt like a good ending.
It really takes the urgency out of the rest of the series. I don't really know what David Lynch was thinking, but I never do.
Maybe we'll know by the end of season 2, but probably not.
Could be.
So yeah, when we are eating... when we're watching movies and we're eating popcorn, like that feels natural, that feels right. But that Twin Peaks thing was really starting to like get to me. Mm-hmm. And I found that when we're watching culinary content, shows like Top Chef, Below Deck, you know, we're hearing the sizzles, we're seeing the plating, we're watching the judges and the guests moan after each bite that they take. And in the same vein, shows like Twin Peaks, We see Agent Cooper raving about the coffee and the pies in town, and the amount of donuts that are perpetually sitting around feels like Twin Peaks runs on Dunkin'. So these visual and auditory cues are literally increasing the levels of a hormone in our stomachs called ghrelin. It's also known as the hunger hormone.
I always thought it was ghrelin.
Ghrelin.
Noom did this to me.
You're
Noom
making
forced
fun of my accent as usual.
I don't think that's an accent thing, but who knows? That it could be ghrelin.
Ladies, whenever you pronounce a word wrong, just say you're making fun of my accent. It works every time.
What is lady an accent? You said ladies. You said like all ladies.
All ladies. Okay,
all right.
not men. Don't do this, men.
Oh, okay.
It's a tip for the ladies. And ghrelin signals the part of our brain called the hypothalamus to increase appetite. So to give you some context, this part of this hormone is essentially lowered if you were to get gastric bypass surgery. Shout out Al Roker. And this is not medical advice or suggestion, but that kind of gives you context as to like what ghrelin triggers and what it does to your brain and your stomach. And again, those visual and auditory cues in shows like that are really triggering that hormone to spike and signal things to your brain. And you know I never squabble an opportunity to be on Reddit.
Not
so
squabble.
I was perusing.
Oh, for context for the audience. I don't know how much Drag Race fandom is going to be on the Bravo series, on the Bravo themed podcast.
Rest
audience.
in peace, Briar Blush. Not really like rest in peace, but she's no longer on the show. But yeah, she said squabble an opportunity, and that's the only way I'm going to say it now. So I was perusing the Reddit thread for the show Alone. That's the one where people are plopped and dropped into the middle of nowhere, and they self-document their survival journey, and whoever lasts the longest wins $1 million. Anyway, on that thread, I saw a post by Smashy Smash 12, and they asked...
Great guy.
The best. They asked, does anyone get hungry when watching this show Alone? And there's 61 comments of people agreeing that they also feel the need to feast and make snacks when they're watching people eat at their best, squirrels and minnows and fish head soup, and at their worst, starve for many days. So after reading through a few crazy comments, I also realized that I, too, am crazy because I get the same feeling when I see people cooking like tiny-ass fish that they catch on Survivor. And then, not to mention, when they get those food rewards, I
See, that always makes me
feel
sad.
feral.
That always makes me sad.
When they get the food awards?
Oh, especially when it's just like, oh, what's up? Go skin and cook this fish with no fucking oil. Oh, my God.
Oh, no, I mean the ones where they get like burgers. And I was like,
that's a
dirty
that's
hands,
a little
like eating the
different.
burgers. I'm like,
that's
oh,
already,
I want that.
there's sand in this. Great.
Those are the food rewards, I mean. So those don't make you sad, right? It's when they get,
No.
like,
Those don't make me sad. But like watching them cook their own fish. Oh, I got to make, they're just living off of rice. I'm like,
oh, I get hungry. Even seeing them like spoon the like unseasoned rice, I'll be like, oh, I want some rice, even though I don't eat rice. Really.
I'll see them when they're, oftentimes when they're, they've lost several challenges. They don't have as many things at camp, and they really start to survive off of fruit. And all I can see, like, they're busting open coconuts every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, the runs must be unimaginable.
I didn't know coconut gave you the runs.
I think any fruit does. That's a whole like side thing in the beginning of oh my God, why can't I think of it? The famous book about the boys that get shipwrecked on the island. Lord of the Flies. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I had to read that book in high school.
I did. I regretted it. Not regretted it. It's a great book,
sad.
but it's,
If I did the Cliff Notes thing,
As any good student. That was the AI of its time.
Cliff Notes.
That was the using ChatGPT to write your paper of the the early 21st century.
Yeah. So back to, I personally do crave the rice and the like tiny fish that they eat when I'm watching it, even if I just ate. And this phenomenon is actually tied to a more primordial link than ghrelin in your tummy, like sending signals to your brain. This is tied to when our ancestors back in the day were used to scarcity. Their meals were smaller, meals were harder to come by. Some could only get a meal a few times a week, or some even faced famine. And studies show that it takes between like 5 to 6 generations to overcome that primordial link between certain generational traumas. And we basically are what our ancestors didn't eat. So watching that suffering on screen ties into the ability for that we can like literally overcome that in that very moment with a feast or a snack at our fingertips, whether it's in our kitchen or delivery away. And that's hard to deny.
Yeah.
It's hard to deny that craving. I'm not saying you can't argue this fact.
It's power. I'm watching all these I'm watching all these losers on this island struggling for food. Meanwhile, all I gotta do is walk 5 feet. Fucking nerds.
And just like many people on that Reddit post, I know my cravings will exist and persist. So you and I have consciously chosen to eat in front of the screen on many occasions to essentially overcome that snacking and overconsumption. But let's look into what happens when we choose to eat while TVing. You know, as I mentioned before, we modified our own habits to make a conscious effort to watch Below Deck during dinner time because we were snacking so hard while we watched it, even if we had just eaten. So one thing that we might not have thought about when we switched our efforts is that we've now made a conscious choice to multitask, which means we're not really being present in one of these actions of watching TV and eating. And you love to say multitasking is impossible because you're a man.
I mean, in the work sense, like your brain can't. I mean, no, actually, this absolutely supports it.
I know.
I bet. Let me guess. You're about to say something to the effect of like, but actually, it means you're not even being conscious of what you're eating or something.
Maybe. You know, either we're paying more attention to the food on our plate or going into our mouths or what's playing on screen. We have to be giving effort and attention to one more than the other. And studies have found that while we watch television, we have a reduced awareness of eating and intake behaviors. Meaning,
intake behaviors is crazy.
I mean, it's a study. It's a medical study.
Yeah. Oh, man, I wasn't paying attention to how much Coke I was railing because the TV was on.
This one kept calling food energy consumption. I thought it was cute.
Sorry, I was getting a gasoline enema and I really, my eyes were bigger than my butthole on that one. I'm sorry.
So this reduced awareness of eating and intake behaviors means that we're missing on those internal cues that tell us that we're eating and even the cues that tell us we're enjoying what we're eating. And again, our hormones and bodies come into play here because as the shows we're watching can play into our habits, it's like say you're watching Below Deck while you're eating and something stressful is happening on screen, our bodies are likely releasing cortisol when we see that stressful interaction or situation. And cortisol is a stress hormone. And that can lead to stress eating. And stress eating is generally fulfilled by comfort food being consumed. So things with fat and sugar, they seem to have a better feedback effect to dampen stress-related responses or emotions. So essentially, stress eating feels more fulfilled when we're eating like worse foods for us. That's why they call it comfort food too, by the way, because they seem to counteract stress. So think about it. You've got a drink in front of you or watching a Nathan Fielder show, the one that you refused to watch with Emma Stone. And he does the most awkward thing imaginable on the screen in front of you. What are you doing? If you have a big glass of wine or scotch or Hennessy in front of you, are you taking that like
I'm leaving because I'm not watching.
What if I say, no, please stay?
It's quite interesting to me because I feel like I'm not beating the allegations here. I feel like oftentimes if we eat and then we go sit down and there's an opportunity to like snack or anything like that, I'm prone to pretty massive dinners, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so
you're a big guy.
It does. That's again worse.
Oh.
But it does get to this point where, you know, I'll be sitting around and regardless of what's happening on the screen in front of me, I might just be uncomfortable from the agita of what I just ate. Yeah. And then that gets me started. I don't know if you ever do this, but like I'm looking for the cure. I'm looking for the thing like, if I eat an apple, like I'm already stuffed.
Well, you know.
If I eat an apple and some blueberries, maybe that'll fix me and I'll feel better again.
Well, you might be interested in what comes a bit after this.
Oh, man.
So we tend to overconsume in the moment while we're watching TV because we're looking for that dopamine hit that food usually gives us. So you're saying like you crave those like an apple or blueberries after you eat because you're searching for like that fulfillment.
Something to fix me.
Yeah. And actually, so we tend to not only overconsume in the moment because, having that concurrent action of eating and watching TV or even being on our phones keeps us distracted at hand. And we're not feeling that satisfaction that the consumption of food should be giving us in that moment. We're not getting that dopamine hit that food is usually giving us that we're searching for. So we're taking that extra gulp and extra bite. But in the same vein, overconsumption is not the only issue. Studies have found that watching TV while eating can also cause us to overconsume later.
Damn, I'm getting hit on both sides.
And this is because they found out, quote unquote, distraction exerts a greater influence on later intake than it does on immediate intake because the lack of satisfaction in that moment has us looking for a feeling later in the day. So they found that if the last meal is recalled to be satiating, it has a more inhibitory effect on future intake. So you might be feeling that way because whatever you ate, you're saying it gives you agita, but you're still feeling that uncomfortable. You're not feeling fulfilled. You didn't really get that hit that you were meant to get when consuming food.
It could be, but it's usually like, I feel like a whole pizza is satiating, even if it's a small.
But it doesn't feel it like it should be.
Even if it's a small petite pizza, because I'm a small petite boy.
Yes, you are.
Before anyone makes any assumptions about me.
Or heard what I said 5 minutes ago. You're a small petite boy, yes.
Yes. I eat small pizzas. And they are satiating, and they satisfy me.
And you don't crave anything else.
No, just blueberry. Please believe me.
All right, so...
Just blueberries, limoncello, 2 scotches.
No, shush, you don't know. Again, I've heard shirts. All right, so in summary, watching TV while we eat can cause us to overconsume or even consume later in the day. Yet, watching TV also causes cravings. The end. Just kidding.
All right, good.
Just kidding. So
I
there's
guess the
some good
answer
news.
is to stop watching television and stop eating.
Yes, both.
Actually, no. The real cure I discovered last night is at like 11:30, like when you should be in bed. Instead of doing that and stopping television,
take a nap.
Go and make cheese and crackers and add some little cherry tomatoes.
Oh my God! No, you're not. So I'm gonna give you all some good advice, including you, my tiny little one pizza man. So there's ways to get out of this habit. So we have, again, 2 scenarios. Cravings while we watch TV. The Cleveland Clinic has provided some really good solutions, in my opinion. A few things that are kind of obvious is set limits on what you eat and stock up on healthy snacks. So, you and I, we started doing that meal delivery service because we knew when we made dinner, we make enough. There's only 2 of us. We make enough for a few days, and then we keep eating the portions that are supposed to go to other days.
Yeah, I'm making like a pound, 1 3/4 pound of salmon tonight.
Yeah, so
for 2 people, incredible.
What we can do is set aside before we start digging in, set limits to what we're eating. Just that one plate. Don't consume the additional plates.
This is taking me all the way back to Noom. You're gonna tell me. You're about to tell me to use a smaller plate too.
Yeah. Yes. And healthy snacks, things that promote sleep, especially if you're watching TV at the end of the day. So whole grain cereals, crackers, things like that. If you have self-control and you don't need to do this, good for you, I guess. You also can give your hands something to do while watching TV besides snacking. So like knitting. I know you love doing that.
Yeah, I always knit while I watch TV.
Coloring, painting your nails, which I do. Squeezing a stress ball even.
That's how I quit smoking, was knitting and squeezing a stress ball every time I wanted to see.
Yes, thank you. So you're showing that these are good solutions.
Yeah, they work.
And then the other piece of advice was disconnecting the 2 behaviors. So it's okay to have a snack while watching TV, but they were saying you should take a little break, go into the kitchen and have that snack, and then come back to the couch. So you're sort of disconnecting the 2. And then what if you're someone who watches TV while you eat like we do? So it's important to stay present and consciously consume. So while we're eating, try to make sure that we're really noticing what we're eating. Okay, maybe the TV's on, but we should really be more present in the thought of what's going into our mouths, understanding what the taste is, understanding what pleasures it's providing us so that we don't consume too much and we don't overconsume later.
Yeah, then I'm gonna have to rewind because I was so focused on
Maybe.
how this food tastes. I feel like this is when you mentioned hey, you can have a snack while watching TV. As a nice little caveat, I was like, this feels to me like in 5 years, it's gonna be like you and my doctor. Like getting me in a room for an intervention, basically telling me like you're never allowed to have food.
Listen, I'm sorry, this just alarmed me because we do both of these things all the time. It's not just you, it's me too. I promise.
I feel like
doctor,
it hurts more when
your
I
doctor
do it.
didn't put me out to this research. The other piece of advice is to stay strong. Reduce the ability to be an emotional eater, to be affected by environmental cues such as like those visual and auditory cues that come up with in the shows. So keep your mind right through reading, moving your body, laughing, therapy, meditation, hanging out with your community. The good shit like that.
Yeah,
that helps you stay strong and keep your body and your mind right.
Yeah, you think you're an emotional eater? You're weak. I'm a stoic eater. Nothing distracts me. Nothing stops me.
And then last but not least, watch Below Deck Mondays on Bravo.
That's the opposite of health.
All right. So, I mentioned Twin Peaks in there a bit.
Yeah, just a little.
I wanted to
as you opened DoorDash to Dunkin' Donuts.
Twin Peaks runs on Dunkin'.
It does. There's so much coffee and donuts in that show. It's crazy.
I thought it would be fun to tell you who I think what Twin Peaks character embodies the woman on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Okay, so who are you giving? You should give me. There's a much larger pool of Twin Peaks characters.
Yes,
Am I guessing this? Or?
No, I'm just going to tell you what I think.
Oh, great!
And I know you'll love it.
I feel like I'm going to hate this.
All right, up first is Brittany. She's Andy. Self-explanatory.
Which one's Andy?
The lights are not home with Brittany. And the lights are not home.
Yeah, I can see that one.
Officer
I just don't think there's anyone else to be Officer Andy other than Brittany.
And also, she's going after a man that's probably not interested. Again, we haven't finished season 2, but it seems like he's going after Lucy. Well, what? He's going after Lucy? We don't know.
I guess it did come out in 1990.
For some reason, it hasn't been spoiled for us. But
yeah, if you haven't, in hindsight, it's hard to spoil.
Yeah, that's true.
The only thing that could possibly spoil it for me at this point is just if someone told me right from the jump who killed Laura Palmer, and even then, it wouldn't be particularly mind-blowing. I'll still look at this.
Yeah, it wouldn't
It's not central to whatever's going on.
All right. Speaking of Laura Palmer, that's going to be our girl Meredith. And
that's insane.
It's because she's melancholy and misunderstood.
I said this as a joke on the couch.
It is so fitting. Come on, melancholy and misunderstood, Meredith. We got that.
This is outrageous.
Up next, Mary is going to be Hawk. She's trustworthy. She's a tracker for the truth. And she's obviously aligned with a higher power because she somehow tricked all the women that she's a good person and a good pastor when I know the truth.
I don't know. It seems like you're comparing her to Hawk quite favorably.
We don't know what insidious behaviors Hawk partakes in outside of. All right, sorry.
Now
no
that feels problematic.
No Hawk slander. No Hawk slander.
Only one of the, or possibly one of the only Native American characters in the show. And you're like, who knows what he gets up to when he goes home? What are you?
Oh my gosh.
Sheriff in the 1880s?
And Mary's the only black person in.
Wow!
What have I done?
Wow, this is.
Well,
if I was a worse man, I would use this to make Meredith not Laura Palmer anymore.
Yeah, I didn't mean anything bad about Mary. I honestly did watch that documentary.
Or Hawk.
Yeah, or Hawk, of course. Hawk's actually my favorite.
Yeah, I think we were defending Hawk there.
Gerard's my favorite. And
which one's Gerard?
The one-armed man.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I actually, side note, I watched that documentary about Mary's church, and the TLDR is that she likes money, yes.
Yeah. And
we know she married her step-grandfather. We learn that there's like a little more truth behind that we're missing in context, but she married her step-grandfather. That's the worst part of the story for me.
It just seems like she runs a Pentecostal church.
Yeah, I would agree. Coming from the same type of church.
Yeah, you're an expert.
Yeah, it just felt like, yeah. Except the step-grandfather part's the weirdest part, and we already knew that.
Maybe that's something you should do for an episode next time. It's just like literally deep dive. What did you think of the Mary Cosby docuseries and why as a Pentecostal convert?
I still have
Or
religious trauma, so I don't know if I want to talk about it. But
yeah, if you're screaming on the couch in front of your laptop while working on it one day, I'll be like, oh, whoops.
Yeah, because
traumatized her.
My segment today made me so hungry, and this might just traumatize me. What are you doing? All right, Lisa Barlow. You ready for her?
Oh my God, let me think. Who could she possibly be? Actually, okay, if what's her name is Laura Palmer, I feel like Lisa has to be oh my God.
Donna, is that her name?
Yeah, Donna.
No, she is Agent Cooper.
You're insane.
She's intuitive.
She's not
She said she was. Don't you remember what she said to the Greek playwright?
Yeah, after she guessed wrong what her sign was six times.
She speaks to trees, just like Agent Cooper.
No, that's the other lady that speaks to trees.
No, but he could.
Cooper speaks to the lady who speaks to trees.
No, but he could hear the tree too.
I'm pretty sure she translated for him.
All right, whatever. Lisa's Cooper. You can't deny that.
I am denying it.
Up next,
like St. Peter.
Up next, we've got Bronwyn. She's Shelley. Seemingly innocent and seemingly easily controlled, but she stands up for herself when necessary, like when Shelley shot Leo and closed her eyes. And
I literally cannot believe
she also keeps quiet about the wrongs that her mans be up to. So she's Shelley, right? You agree with that one?
That's so loose. I would have made her Cooper, but yeah.
No, Lisa's Cooper.
I would have made Heather Cooper before Lisa.
Heather is Nadine. She's always screaming.
Heather is a detective.
She's always screaming. She pretends that they're in high school. And she once wore an eye patch when Jen Shaw punched her in the face.
You're sick.
And Whitney is Audrey. As she likes to put it, she's a free spirit. But as the playwright...
Whitney is Audrey. That's the only one where I'm going to be like, you got a pretty good bullseye with that one.
Thank you. But there's some shade.
Yeah, shade. There's no shade for choosing Whitney Rose as the one who voluntarily ran off to work in a whorehouse as a quote-unquote investigator.
Yes, because she is shallow, a flirt, and a body without a mind.
I thought Officer Andy was a body without a mind.
No, the lights are not home for him, okay. I would say.
The lights are not home?
Yeah, like Brittany.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so... I feel like that's a good segue into yours.
I don't see how, but here we go. So, I think it goes without saying that the season 6 finale of Salt Lake City was prestige television. On the final day of the trip to Greece, the audience learns that on day 1, Angie K arranged for all the women to be interviewed by a playwright to learn as much as she could about how each of them see themselves and each other. Also, side note, what an incredible scene. Lisa guessing like 6 signs before being told Pisces by the writer and giving the absolutely classic response of, I knew you were going to say that. That was an all-timer for me. But that night, we would see the fruit of this inspiration. A brand new play in the tradition of Greek theater commissioned by Angie K. and possibly Bravo. Truly an iconic moment in Bravo history. It was a real Greek tragedy. The ladies, side note, even cried after, so catharsis included. We'll get to that. Also, more or less opening with the line, Lisa, one of the eldest, was a legendary dig, especially considering she's like the 3rd youngest in the cast. I checked. From what I could see, we don't have firm ages for a lot of the cast, but we know roughly what they are. Meredith, Mary, and Brittany are all definitely older. And only Bronwyn and Whitney... Sorry, I said Brittany, okay. And only Bronwyn and Whitney Rose are definitely younger.
Yeah, Angie K definitely put her up to that.
That was incredible in my opinion. But anyway, I don't know if this has happened to anyone else or if this happened to anyone else when this aired, but my brain was just zapped straight back to 10th grade English class. And I felt like this was a great opportunity to make Angie K proud by teaching all of you about Greek theater. Whee! So, Greek theater really started around 700 BCE. Side note, that's the thing. I think it came around in the late 20th century, early 21st century of saying BCE instead of BC. We changed it to before Common Era and Common Era. But anyway, it's originally centered around Athens and then eventually Athens colonies. I didn't look into it, but I don't think the Spartans were like super into theater. And over time, it broke out into 3 genres. So we start with tragedy. Then comedy comes around 490 BCE. And in between, vaguely the 500s, was the satyr play. It's sort of a proto-comedy with lots of dick, boob, wine, fart jokes. We'll get to it, I promise.
Oh, like, what did we watch last night?
Oh, yeah, like the Naked Gun that we watched last night. It's actually, I think it's a lot like that. Theater was a critical part of the Dionysia. It's basically 2 festivals, one roughly winter and one roughly spring, honoring Dionysus. Those of you on the familiar side of Greek mythology will know him as the god of wine, festivity, fertility, insanity, and a bunch of other shit, but also, of course, theater. I think that's all we really need to do on Dionysus for now, but if you're unfamiliar, then I do recommend looking into him. If you're fascinated by weird Greek ritual insanity, like I am, 9 times out of 9, you're probably picturing something related to Dionysus and his cult. Actually, if you do want a fun bit of trivia about this connection, tragedy, the word itself, is so insanely Dionysian that it literally comes from tragos, or goat, and ode, or song. It's a goat song. But probably the most important thing to take away from this is that theater in the West overwhelmingly comes directly from this tradition, down to genre, character archetypes, plot structure, and even a great deal of technical terminology, which really makes Angie K's choice to do a Greek tragedy for the finale so fascinating to me, because it's really an homage from what I think is becoming a new art form or genre, Bravo-style reality television, whatever that specifically means yet, to its origins or its ancient roots, and I just think that's so cool. Quick side note here, as we dive into these sort of subtopics, just know that these are all in no particular order other than just what I found interesting. Case in point, I want to start with masks, just because I thought it was cool that they still wore masks in Angie K's play. So there are no surviving masks that were actually worn in Greek theater. They were primarily made of stiffened wood or linen, which is probably a big cause for that. But we do have surviving terracotta masks from this period. However, these would not have been worn on stage. Rather, they'd typically be dedicated to temples, which is actually how we get our first images of gorgons, like Medusa. So that's pretty cool. It's also important to note that these masks would look nothing like what we saw on Salt Lake.
Ooh.
However, it was still a crucial detail for them to include, so it gets a thumbs up from me, especially once we look at what they looked like, to the best of our understanding. So what did they look like? First of all, they were big. They often covered far more than the face. They had to be put on like a helmet, and the actor had to be very, very mindful that it was properly situated during the performance. Not to mention, it was difficult to see out of, and that often made it hard to breathe. This is also a good time to note the scale of Greek theater. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Performing on average to 16,000 people at a time.
Wow. That's the population of our town.
Yeah. Which actually, that's actually how it happens. Like, it's generally speaking, any given town or village would just have a theater. And if there was a show going on, the entire town or city was there.
Well, that's like our festivals here.
True to an extent. I would say to a more intense level, because there's a lot of religion
like
caught up in it and stuff like that. Yes, it's like Blobfest. Now we're here. If you're wondering how anyone could hear in such a large audience, the answer, of course, is podcast mics. No, the short answer is acoustics. These outdoor theaters were truly a marvel of sound engineering. Limestone and marble are incredibly reflective materials, and the theater was shaped to amplify sound coming from the stage while minimizing sound coming from the audience. If you don't believe me...
That sounds better than podcast mics.
Yeah, I've always dreamed that we could just put 16,000 people in a room and make them listen to us mic free, but yeah, usually people leave when it gets up to 5 and I start trying to do that. But in terms of the acoustic setup here, if you don't believe me, go play music on your iPhone and stick it in a bowl. You'll hear what I mean. Okay, 16,000 people. So the masks had to have insanely exaggerated features. Giant eyes, giant mouths. You get it. Yes, they'd mastered acoustics, so the guy in the back row can probably hear you, but this was pre-podcasting, so it was critical for them to see as well, especially from far away. So this required a great deal of physicality from the actors. Big gestures, head tilts to show emotions, exaggerated laughs probably. That one's not explicitly noted in the reading I've done, but it seems to track. Finally, and this is particularly fascinating to me, and I'm not totally sure why. Do you remember in theater school, directors would always tell you to cheat out, like to sort of face the audience, but not a full turn in either direction. Like you sort of want to be angled out to the person you're supposed to be directly facing, but you never quite turn all the way.
Yeah. They do that in Drag Race too.
Perfect. Not a thing in Greek theater.
Oh.
It was full frontal all the time. That line may have benefited from a rewrite.
It sounds like it belongs in a satyr. What is the...
Oh, we'll get there. Actually, we're about to make a handbrake turn to that one. So actors would face 100% directly at the audience the entire time, which I imagine would go over quite uncomfortably today. So these masks were designed to have no real profile about them. If you were to see them at an angle, presumably they wouldn't look right. Mouths probably wouldn't look like mouths, etc. Okay, we're done with masks now. That's my hard transition. I said it's a handbrake turn. So here's where I take a moment to explain the satyr play. Not because it has anything to do with what we saw in Salt Lake, but because you really can't have a full discussion of Greek theater without it. So the satyr play is kind of a proto-comedy, not in the they're not that funny sense, but more so that the genre of comedy took a while to be fully baked at the time. It wasn't all there. Best I can compare it to is like a short form parody or a farce. Picture this. So I do like this example. It's one of the biggest festivals of the year in your village. Everyone's worked very hard to put this day together, and you're all determined to have a good time. The entire town has gathered at the theater, and you all just watched 3 tragedies back to back.
Hell yeah.
Just gut-wrenching stuff for hours.
Yes.
If that's where the show ends, the village probably will not be in the mood to party afterward unless it's just a village of you. So custom dictates that you basically just sort of slap an Adam Sandler short film on the back end, and then everyone leaves happy. But what do you mean by Adam Sandler short film? What was the content of the satyr play? I say it's similar to parody or farce because the standard fare, seriously, was to take a really well-known story, say Hercules, throw a bunch of satyrs in there and have them just fuck with the protagonist, which sounds like a lot of fun and something I would love to watch. It kind of makes me think of a Monty Python flick, like Holy Grail or Life of Brian or something like that, where it's rooted in a story we know. Of course, to be more specific on the humor, the 2 most critical traits of satyrs is that they are 1, drunk, and 2, horny. So there was usually a lot of dick jokes and drunken behavior. We also have the chorus of satyrs, which is technically what makes a satyr play in the first place. Basically, it's a bunch of dudes dressed as satyrs. I'm kind of taking too much time on this already. Sort of like a normal Greek chorus, but with dick props. That's it.
What do you mean dressed as satyrs?
Oh, like what is a satyr?
Yeah.
You know Pan, like the goat man?
Are you saying Pan or Pam?
That we're not doing Step Brothers today. But no, they literally are, they look like hairy men, or they look like men up top. Then they have goat legs and they have horns. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What they don't show in all the cartoon depictions of that is that traditional Greek. Hey, rock and roll. I can do satyr for you, baby. But they literally do. All the ancient Greek depictions, or most of them, also depict them with just raging boners all the time.
Oh my God, never mind. I spoke too soon.
Oh, they were hot until they were hot until they were into it. I see how it is. I know what you like.
I like the chase.
Oh, indeed. Incredible. There's only actually one extant. This is off. I'm off outline now. There is only one extant satyr play that currently exists that we have like full front to back. We have the entire play. I can't remember the name of it, but it is it's based on the Odyssey and the Cyclops encounter, and it's a lot more tame than what we suspect a lot of other satyr plays may have been. But it is very just like. Hey, he's there in the Cyclops, and a bunch of satyrs are dicking around, and they're just goofing off the whole time. Now, if you're already asking me, what do you mean by Greek chorus, based on my comparison of the chorus of satyrs to the Greek chorus? Good news! You're just in time for our pivot to the subject of Greek stock characters. And this is where we really start to see kind of this last segment is where we start to see Greek theater's modern influence. The long and short of Greek stock characters is there's loads of them. The most famous of all, of course, being the Greek chorus. Now, as 10th grade English class echoes back into your brain, I can hear some of you saying, does that really count as a character? The chorus is many people. I say, shut up. It still counts. It functions as one single character and is arguably the most, I say arguably, I'm taking that out. It is the most recognizable and relevant example today. So the Greek chorus, it's basically a group of people performing as a sort of stand-in for the audience. They'll do a bit of narration, give some direction as to the moral of the story, while still being a functional character within the story.
Oh, so that, you know how we saw, what was the high school play we saw recently?
Oh, Hadestown. Yeah, my niece was in Hadestown.
And was it Persephone? What was the
Hermes?
Hermes. That was the narrator in it?
Yeah, she kind of functions as a Greek chorus, I think.
Okay,
in a way. Yeah, I think that's a good example. Also Greek because Hermes. Hadestown is quite rooted in Greek mythology, so I guess that makes sense. But yeah, so there's still a functional character in the story. Traditionally, they often represent, for example, like the villagers in a town or something. Critically, as the viewer, this is likely the character you relate to the most.
Lisa Barlow.
I cannot believe. We're about to get into examples, but I can't believe Lisa Barlow's your choice.
Top of mind.
Let me rephrase that. They are your representation on stage.
I'm just kidding.
So I just want to be clear. Lisa Barlow represents you on stage. So next line. So next line is, what does that make you think of? Or who does that make you think of within the Bravoverse? If I may start before we get too far on the Lisa train, I would say certainly Ariana Madix.
Absolutely. She's the Greek chorus.
Yeah. She's always been the most relatable, air quotes, normal person in the cast. And she's always kind of been the show's moral center in the way, which I think is part of why Scandival was so devastating, in my opinion. She was highly relatable. She was, again, the most viewers' representative in the show, and she was betrayed. I also do think Amanda, Sierra, or Paige in Summer House are good examples of this. It's a real Greek chorus in the Summer House series.
Yeah.
They have no shortage. It's just anyone but the men, basically. And Lindsay. Anyone but the men or Lindsay or Danielle.
Jeez.
But we still got a good roster.
So all the girls are the Greek chorus.
We have more than normal in Summer House. Any other examples aside from Lisa Barlow?
I would say like Whitner and Southern Charm.
He seems to be doing that. I would also argue Madison kind of functions as a Greek chorus.
Yeah.
She's never really, like, they never hold, I don't know, not hold her feet to the fire, but like, I feel like she's never really villainized anywhere.
Yeah.
Who was the woman from like season 1, 2, and so of that show too?
Cameron.
Yeah, I feel like she kind of functioned that way.
I would say prior to Dr. Wendy's downfall, she was Greek
I would
chorus.
agree. I mean, I don't think she still is.
Yeah,
Again,
she is.
Like, she still counts.
It's hard for,
Disclaimer, I do not relate to her as in terms of fraud, and she does not represent me on stage.
Yeah, but it's like the direction of the right morals. Mary, obviously, and
I'll take that, actually. But I think that's a new role for her. Like,
absolutely.
I feel like that has not traditionally been her spot. I was also going to say Bronwyn is kind of stepping into that, but I don't know. I think Heather tries to be, but isn't.
Yeah, Heather tries.
I think Heather
but
wants
she's just
to be
Nadine in the end.
The Nadine thing stuns me. All right. Again, so going back to stock characters, there are many of these. Again, loads of them. But a few other stock character highlights. See if any of these sound familiar, whether it's from the Bravoverse or movies you've seen, etc. But several examples are the buffoon or the clown. Lots of physical comedy. Lots of fourth wall breaks with that one.
Jennifer Tilly.
I'll take
Kathy
it.
Hilton.
Oh, Kathy Hilton. That's a bullseye. The young lover yearning and striving to wed his beloved. I don't think that's anywhere. Mauricio.
Craig.
Oh, sorry, Craig.
Mauricio. Oh, God.
I mean, I think Craig wants to be that, but I don't know if that's panning out. Maybe it's Craig pining for Austin. And then the parasite.
You said it, not me.
Oh, well, you said it at the top of the show. The parasite is the last one I got here. He's the freeloader. He's
Amanda Francis.
More of a scammer, I think, than a parasite. I don't think there's a lot of great examples in the Bravoverse of this, just because it is a very specific archetype. But like, I think one could argue Cookie is kind of being painted that way with her just...
Don't point your finger at me.
Yeah, and just like kind of jumping in with her Chris accusations and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't think there's any massive examples. But as for themes that carry over, there is, of course, the big daddy hubris, the most important of all, excessive pride, arrogance. We see it in the Odyssey. We see it in Oedipus. We see it in Antigone. All the 10th grade English class hits. It's all there for the price of just doing your homework.
I'm the number one guy.
Now see, here's where we get into it, in my opinion. I hadn't even thought about Jax. But seriously, how many times, dear listener, have you seen a fan favorite housewife in one season brought low the next?
I mean, that's the recipe.
It comes from Greek theater. That's wow. Walked right into that one. Or even brought off of the show entirely. Or again, I think Jax is a stellar example. I mean, we literally watched him be a dickhead for over a decade at this point. And keep coming back. Something has to stop this guy. He gets his own show. What is going on? Is he reformed? No, he's not. Now he's gone for good because he's been so insane. But
Lisa Ren is a good example of this.
She is?
Yeah. You know, she said Kathy Hilton used to swear.
Yeah.
That's why she is no longer on the show.
Oh, yeah.
That was like also you're so angry.
Oh, my God.
Like it was after that. She got really like crazy and arrogant and got too big for her britches, essentially. You don't go against Kathy Hilton,
So
even though,
many
like, obviously Kathy Hilton.
I mean, I think she was right, but yeah. But yeah, I think the Bravoverse is rife with examples of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And additionally, just some other, I bring these up just for examples of themes that come through, I think, again, in the Bravoverse, but also in everything else that we watch. Fate versus free will. How much do you control your own destiny? Justice and revenge. Suffering and catharsis. Remember the women's reaction after Angie K's play in Greece?
Yeah,
they all
had that release.
Yeah, they all start weeping, and you know, their Bronwyn is like, I'm horrified by what I saw, and then tears flow. It literally had the catharsis in it. It's a true Greek tragedy, et cetera, et cetera. Also, just for fun, some technical terms that carry over to today. Skene or scene, the background area behind which costumes were changed. The orchestra, that was a dancing area. Now it's where we put the instruments. The theatron or theater.
Ooh.
That's enough examples. You get it. So how does this relate to what we saw in the Salt Lake finale? Honestly, it had masks. It had a chorus, the narrator. It was recognizably a tragedy. And it was theater. So I suppose it's inherently Greek. It's all Greek. You can never escape the Greek. We're all no different from Electra, really, in that way.
No.
But candidly, I had intended for this segment to be a direct reflection of Angie K's finale play. But instead, I came to realize that really it's all about Bravo. There's no escaping the Greek tradition's influence on all of Western theater, which begets film, which begets television as we know it, including reality television. And what Bravo has done to the genre is arguably something new in its own way, to the point that it even has its very own convention every year. Again,
BravoCon, give us free tickets.
Yeah, I mean, that really is the best example I have, though. Like, I was like, I feel like it's a new genre, arguably, but I'm not 100% sure what exactly the ingredients are aside from the logo. But I know it's enough of something that it gets its own con. And lest we forget that the Bravoverse has its own Greek choruses, its own buffoons, its own stories of hubris and justice and revenge, of suffering and catharsis. It's all there. And I like to tell myself that Angie K knew exactly what she was doing, connecting the newer art form of the Real Housewives show to the originating form of Greek theater. And I think that's fucking sick.
You go, Angie K.
Truly.
That was actually one of the best finales because of that.
That is easily the best Bravo finale I think I've ever seen. Or it's certainly up there. Way up there.
I don't know. I liked the Potomac one of them. Not doing anything, but being in a car. Wasn't that great?
I mean, I think that really doesn't compare. I think that was memorable. Okay. I mean, it had its merits. I'm literally comparing it to like the late, like the finales early on in Vanderpump, where it's like a finale where it wasn't one of the finales where Sandoval just punches Jax in the face, like season one.
That was good. But can you imagine being one of the women of Potomac watching Angie K's amazing Greece trip? And
I think that's exactly
this is my cash trip for
you wonder what that looks like. It looks like Giselle. It looks like exactly her response. I don't think we ever had a mutiny before.
Oh my God. yeah, they just didn't deserve it.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Speaking of people that don't deserve things, let's talk about Erika Jayne and her new man. Because we don't deserve to have Erika Jayne in front of our screens anymore. We're getting into our segment, Not Very Punk Rock. And a not very punk rock thing that Erika Jayne has done recently is share with the ladies of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills that she's dating a dude with claims against him of alleged stolen valor and allegations of domestic abuse with his former partner. So her new partner is quote-unquote Sergeant Major John McPhee, also known as the Sheriff of Baghdad, also known as John Shrek McPhee.
So he's called Shrek and the Sheriff of Baghdad.
so
Now
mean.
I would revive DreamWorks Animation Studios just to see Shrek as the Sheriff of Baghdad. But Baghdad, I don't think gets a sheriff. I think they've got a different form of governance than just what we just do, right?
Yeah,
they got their own thing. They got their own culture. They got their own whole situation.
It's an imaginary place, but yes, babes.
Baghdad's not an imaginary place.
Sorry. I thought you were talking about Shrek.
I thought you were talking about
you lost
Agrabah.
me there. Yeah,
I was like...
I thought you meant I don't know, Shrek, do-lot and stuff.
Yeah. No, I was talking about Agrabah. I was talking about Baghdad.
Yes, Baghdad's a real place. Sorry.
I mean, maybe they have sheriffs. I just hope it's called something else. I hope that we didn't just mash Western culture.
Oh, this guy is notorious for it. So I tried watching a few interviews, but he's like a self-proclaimed monster. He calls himself a monster in his interviews. So I was like, I'm not getting my news from you, man. So I found this.
Yeah, he's a real. I'm a real monster, just like Jeffrey Epstein.
Allegedly.
Sorry, I just tanked our SEO.
Thanks.
This episode will never make it on TikTok.
So there's this YouTube channel, Valhalla VFT. It's ran by a retired Green Beret soldier, and he shares some substantiated facts about John McPhee. He got info from the U.S. Army Human Resources Command, so we know it's accurate. We know it's true. I even include some screenshots you can peruse through below as I tell you a little bit more about this man. So he calls himself Sergeant Major McPhee, but it turns out that he's actually a retired Master Sergeant, which Valhalla VFT shares as a different classification than what he calls himself. Right. He also has had his Special Forces tab revoked. That's just like a patch that you can wear if you were part of the Special Forces. It showed that you've gone through the rigorous training and such. They also terminated his Green Beret classification. And he's also lied about what he's done in the Army as well.
Holy hell, that's a lot.
He was removed because of quote-unquote poor... These classifications were removed and revoked because of his quote-unquote poor moral character. And you might ask what this poor moral character entails. Well, he put a loaded weapon to the face of his wife when she turned down a song he was listening to. He also threw her on the ground when she was 3 months pregnant. I will include the link to Valhalla VFT's video that shows the screenshots of all of the things that he's done. That's only the start of it.
This guy sounds like a real ditty.
I mean, she met him when he was hanging out with Spencer Pratt, so you can imagine,
Yeah, Spencer Pratt sounds like a real ditty.
He's apparently Heidi Montage's bodyguard.
Oh, my God.
He also tells stories of breaking his leg and landing in a minefield in Kuwait in 1990. But hey, the Gulf War / Desert Storm ended in February 28th of 1991, and his service in the military started January 1991, which means he somehow would have jumped into this minefield during his basic training. There's also a Reddit thread that, again, I'll link in the description that shares a lot of his alleged provable lies to the point where people accuse him of stolen valor. And Erika Jayne.
This is a horrible look for someone who literally was married to the guy who stole money from plane crash victims also.
Literally.
And who was like, I didn't know what was going on. Is she about to do the same thing with all of his bullshit?
Yeah. So, Erika Jayne, you've done plopped yourself on top of one old corrupt PP. You're not very punk rock, and neither is your homeboy, John McPhee. All right, thanks for listening, guys. I hope we didn't make you too hungry or full of sadness and tragedies in your hearts.
If you like what you heard today, please give us a follow on all the appropriate socials. In particular, I mean TikTok, Instagram and YouTube at reality_punks. Additionally, if you really want to support us, go and leave some comments or a comment on YouTube or our other socials, or especially leave us a positive review in your podcast app.
Or negative if you want.
No, just positive. If it's negative, just listen to something else. That's all we got for you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.